Yesterday, we looked at the inverse sine and cosine. And what did you learn yesterday? You learned if you're doing a sine problem, and it's the inverse sine, and don't forget, this means the same as this, inverse sine. We talked about yesterday that the domain and the range had to be restricted. So if you are a positive ratio for sine, you're in quadrant 1, because you're going from 0 to pi over 2 and from 0 to negative pi over 2. So this is your area. If it's a negative ratio, you're in quadrant 4. Now, what we do with sine is we go backwards. We do not go around past pi over 2. So you have a 30-degree angle, which is pi over 6. You have a 45, which is pi over 4. And you have a 60, which is pi over 3. And obviously 90, pi over 2. Now, if you were to go backwards, backwards is going to give you the negative pi over 6 angle. So instead of 11 pi over 6, this is 11 pi over 6 going this way. But you don't want to move past this spot right here. You're going to go this way or backwards. So 11 pi over 6 is negative pi over 6. That 7 pi over 4 is going to be negative pi over 4. And what's the other one? Negative pi over 3. And then obviously negative pi over 2. You're not going to call this 3 pi over 2. You're going to call it negative pi over 2. So if the ratio is positive, you are one of these angles in quadrant 1, and if it's negative, you are in quadrant 4, just going backwards. So this angle right here is not going to be 5 pi over 3 anymore. It's going to be negative pi over 3. Now for cosine, if it's positive, you're in quadrant 1, and if it's negative, you're in quadrant 2. So this one is from 0 to pi. The new one is tangent. Tangent is just like sine. You're in quadrant 1 if it's positive, and 4 if it's negative. So let's review. Let's go through and do the tangent ones. I'm on this, continuing on this packet. Now remember, for tangent, if it's a positive ratio, you're in quadrant 1. If it's negative, you're in 4. I need to know what angle am I in this, get a ratio, root 3 over 2, so I'm going to draw a picture of an angle in quadrant 1. Why am I putting myself in quadrant 1? Because this ratio is positive. The definition of tangent is opposite over hypotenuse. What angle am I whose side opposite over adjacent is a root 3 over 1? What angle is this?
60.
60. Good job. Pi over 3. Thank you, Robbie. Okay, now, what's up with this one? If you have to, on these ones that are rationalized, unrationalize it. This is the same as 1 over root 3. Root 3 over 3 is the same as 1 over root 3. So, again, this is a positive ratio. I want to know what angle am I whose side opposite over adjacent is 1 over root 3. What angle am I? A 30. Pi over 6. Beautiful. Number 3. What angle am I? I have to be in quadrant 4. I want to know my side opposite over my adjacent. This is going to be a positive one. What angle am I if I have a 1-to-1 ratio? Good. So it's negative 45. Good. Keep going. Okay, now we're going to start layering. So now, forget this word tangent right here. Let's do this. You're going to do this first. what angle am I? And I'm gonna be in quadrant 4, and this is gonna be negative root 3, and this is gonna be 1. What angle am I? Whose opposite over adjacent is negative root 3 over 1? Negative 60. So this answer right here is negative pi over 3. Now I want to know what is the tangent of a negative 60-degree angle, and guess what? It's the same thing, negative root 3 over 1. So this happens to be the same answer. That's the answer. Number 5. What do you suspect this answer to be?
1.
Okay, I want to know what angle am I whose opposite over adjacent is 1 to 1. So this answer is pi over 4. What's the tangent of a 45-degree angle? It's 1 over 1. So the answer is 1. Number 6. What angle am I? And if I unrationalize this, and it's a negative. So what angle am I whose side opposite over adjacent is negative 1 over root 3? What angle am I? What kind of, wait, negative pi over 6. It's a 30-degree. Now, what is the sine? What's the sine ratio of a negative 30-degree angle? It's the same angle. Good job. This is a 2, so it's negative 1/2. Hopefully it's getting better than yesterday. A little bit? Okay. The more I'm telling you, the more you do, the better. Number 7. Okay. See this? This is an angle. Where is this angle? Name it for me. It's a 60-degree angle. Pi over 3 is 60. And I know all of the lovely ratios. This is root 3. This is 1 and 2. So that should be no problem. They want to know what is the tangent of this angle. It's root 3 over 1. So this piece right here, this is from chapter 6. This answer is root 3 over 1. Now I want to know, this is now asking you, what is the angle whose opposite over adjacent is root 3 over 1? So now I'm in quadrant 1. I want to know what angle am I, and it's a 60-degree angle. So it's pi over 3. Next one. 2 pi over 3. Where's 2? This is from chapter 6. See if you remember how to do this. Where is 2 pi over 3? Hi.
Hi.
Be careful you don't trip. Alexis and Jordan and James and Michael. You can get these after. Back to this one. Where's 2 pi over 3? So, I'm going to use my reference angle. What's the reference angle? Pi over 3. What is pi over 3? Is it 30 or 60? 60. So this is root 3, this is 2, and this is negative 1. Because I'm in quadrant 2. You go left, x's are negative, y's are positive, and the radius is always positive, right? So these are this is the sides. So I want to know what's the tangent of this angle, because it's the same as the tangent of 2 pi over 3. I'm going to use this little angle to get the answer to the 2 pi over 3. So what's the tangent? This is from chapter 6. What would be the tangent of this angle? Negative root 3 over 1. So now this answer right here is negative root 3 over 1. And now I want to know what is the inverse tangent. So now I'm in what quadrant? as soon as you see this, you see a negative, you're gonna jump to quadrant 4. And this is gonna be, we're gonna call this negative root 3, we're gonna call this 1, what angle am I? You're a negative 60, so negative pi over 3. Now be careful, because what were you noticing that if these two words were the same, what was the answer? It was pi over 3. But see how I purposely did this one like that? To show you that it's not, the answer's not 2 pi over 3, it's negative pi over 3, so be careful. A lot of people want to automatically say that it's 2 pi over 3. No, you're in quadrant 4. And let's try this last one. So, where's 3/4 pi? Where's that at? Yep, quadrant 2. 3/4 is right here. So this is pi over 4, 45. This is going to be negative 1, and this is 1. So what is the tangent of a 3 pi over 4? What's this answer right here? Negative 1. This answer is negative 1. So what's the tangent, inverse tangent of negative 1? Now what quadrant are we in? Good. 4. What angle am I now? Call me out. Negative pi over 4. See how that one wasn't the same either. Okay. So this whole answer is negative pi over 4. Okay, now we're going to do some algebra. You have this triangle. I want you to draw this triangle right here in quadrant 1. And we're going to do the same type of problem, but now we're going to use, instead of a fraction, we're going to have a fraction, but this fraction is v over 1. So I want you to put your finger over sine right here. This is what you have. You have inverse cosine, or arc cosine, and you have v. I made this v over 1. This is a negative. So I made this a fraction. So this piece right here tells me that I am in quadrant 1 or 2. And why did I put myself in quadrant 1? Because I see this as a positive v. So I drew my triangle. I am in quadrant 1 right now. The word cosine means adjacent over hypotenuse. So I need to figure out what this side is. By using the Pythagorean theorem, I'm going to do v squared plus this side squared is equal to 1 squared. Everyone understand that? These two sides squared is equal to the hypotenuse squared. So this box squared, which is one of the legs, is 1 minus v squared. Now how do you figure out what this is? You're going to take the square root of both sides, and you get that is equal to the square root of 1 minus v squared. So this is the square root of 1 minus v squared. That's what this picture says. It's just hard to read. That's the square root of 1 minus v squared, in case you didn't read that. That's a v, that's a 1, and that's your angle. So that's what this is right here, just drawn not in quadrant 1. Does everyone understand that if you flip this, this is what you have? So now what they want, this is actually kind of easy. They want the sine ratio of this angle. Well, what's the definition of sine? It's opposite over hypotenuse. So the answer to this is the square root of 1 minus v squared over 1. That's it. So you needed to use the Pythagorean theorem to name that side. And then what's the sine ratio? It's opposite over hypotenuse. Okay, I want you to skip to example 6. Right here. Don't worry about example 5. We're going to do example 6. Okay, so how do you do this? A great example. I'm covering cosine. I want you to just concentrate on this. So I see this notation right here, and I see this fraction. Can you tell me what quadrant I'm in because of this? Because of this, and because of this, tell me what location, where am I?
Quadrant 4.
Quadrant 4,
Quadrant 1.
quadrant 1. Why'd you change? Why did you change?
I'm tired.
You're tired?
Yeah.
Quadrant 1 is the quadrant. Why am I not in quadrant 4? Because it's positive. So what I want you to do is I want you to draw a triangle in quadrant 1. And I need to name these sides. What gets what because of that word? Tangent means what? Opposite over what? So do you all agree, I'm going to call this root 5 and this 2? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay, now, if I would have had the word tangent here, the answer would have been root 5 over 2. But, and that's why I didn't do this one, because that's what that is. This one is asking you for what is the cosine of this same angle. So what do you think I'm going to need to do? Yep, you got it. Figure it out what the hypotenuse is. And what are you going to do to figure out the hypotenuse? 2 squared plus root 5 squared equals the radius squared. So 4 plus 5, which is 9. 9 is r squared. I don't know why I changed my r that way. R squared, and what's r?
3.
3. So now, what is the cosine of this angle? 2/3. This answer is 2/3. Questions? These last 5 problems are calculator problems. And I bet you know how to do them. What should your calculator be in? Radians. Good job, radians. Why radians? Because we're dealing with pi over 3 angles, pi over 2, pi over 4. So that make sure your calculator's in radian mode. If it's not, it's going to be wrong. So anyone think they know how to do these first 3 ones? Very easy. Arc, sine, negative 0.53. I want to know what angle are you whose ratio is negative. So you're going to be in quadrant 4, but you're going to do this by using your calculator. All you have to do is type in this second sine. Now if you have, you guys all have different calculators. If you have this calculator, the old one, all you have to do is hit second sine and then hit negative 0.53 and then hit enter. That's that answer. If you're using this calculator, where is that button at? Trig. And where is that one? Right there. And then type in negative 0.53. Check it out, same answer. Negative 0.5586. How about the next one? Arc cosine. Second cosine, 0.28. Tangent. There's your first 3 answers. And normally on these ones, they want you to round 4 places. So go 4 places past the decimal. Now, how do you think you're going to do the last 3? Or the last 2, I'm sorry. Anyone think they know how to type in arc cosine and then sine 0.456? Well, exactly the way it is. Arc cosine and then sine 0.456. And the last one, sine, arc tangent, negative 9.8. Very easy. That's that answer, negative 0.9948. Question for you. If I asked you to round to 4 decimal places, what answer would you give me on this one? What? 8, and then stop. This one would be 1.3808 and stop. That would be an 8. This would be negative 0.9948, stop. Okay? So for homework, I need you to finish these. Finish your homework, okay?